everyone, I'm Mind, and here's another issue of the LEGO Ninjago Magazine. I'm not saying that I just got this one because I didn't just get this one. I got this one about a month ago now. I'm very behind on these, so I'm trying to catch up. The next one just arrived. I'm like, oh shoot, I haven't done this one yet. But I promise that going forward, I'm going to be a little more timely with these things. It's just been the holidays, then my birthday, and then also I put out a room tour video earlier this week. Go check that out if you haven't yet. Very long video, but if you want to see like my full LEGO setup, I do show all of it off in that video. So go check it out after this video if you haven't seen it yet. I'll leave a link to it in the pinned comment. But anyway, yeah, this issue of the Ninjago magazine, this one comes with a Climber J minifigure, which was kind of surprising to see. I was not expecting to get this guy in a magazine at all, but I'll very gladly take him considering he only comes in a $70 set. And then this magazine also comes with a bonus minifigure. Now, bonus minifigures in general are very cool because they're just something extra, and they're always a promo from a previous magazine, and there's like a random chance what you get. Different retailers get different minifigures, and certain retailers will have more than one possible option. However, I got probably the worst one I could have possibly gotten. This is Crystalized Vangelis, which is not the best like magazine promo in general. It's of course from the Crystalized wave, about 2 years old at this point, but this is extra disappointing because I could swear this is probably my 4th or 5th time I've gotten this in one of these magazines. That magazine must have sold really poorly because they have a lot of extras of this guy. And yeah, if you go back and watch my magazine reviews, like the last few bonus minifigures have been this guy specifically. So yeah, not super exciting to me personally, doesn't make it a bad minifigure or anything, but I'm going to go very quickly through him when we do the minifigure review at the end of this video, because what can I say about this guy that I haven't already said? But yeah, of course, we'll take a look at the minifigures later in the video. For now, let me remove them so we can take a full look at the actual magazine. So here's the full cover with them removed. It says 2 LEGO toys, J plus bonus minifigure, LEGO toy J, 1 head, 2 faces, though they don't actually show it off. Best ninja friends, the amazing life of Sora and Aaron. Battle of the Elemental Masters. We've got an epic 12-page comic and some awesome posters. So without further ado, let's just open it up and see what's inside. Skipping a little ahead there we go. On the first page, there's an advertisement for the Climber mech, as we've seen recently. And then our Master of the Month this time around is Mr. Pale, the Elemental Master of Light. This master is easy to overlook, as he can become invisible thanks to his powers. This makes Mr. Pale not only the ultimate opponent in hide-and-seek, but also an expert when it comes to stealth. As always, you can rank his power, and you can say in which situation do you think his elemental power would be the most useful. I really liked how in Tournament of Sources they gave him like new light abilities. It was more than just turning invisible. That's something we never saw in Tournament of Elements. Cool to see his character expanded upon more. I do like Mr. Pale a lot. But yeah, this is mostly just the table of contents, so we'll turn the page once again, and this is the bio page on the minifigure. Curious what they have to say about him, considering this minifigure did not appear in the show. Off to adventures. Even his gaze is electrifying. Let's go, unbreakable protectors. 2 turbo climbing hooks with lightning power. Agent by day. With no memory of his ninja past, Jay spends his days among piles of files in the administration. Only once in a while does Agent Walker get to go on a cool mission, but then his ninja moves make him the most notorious agent of all. Master by night. He never uses his elemental powers on agent missions. It's only at night that he swaps out his suit for a hero's outfit and sets out on an exploratory tour through the deep gorges of the realm of madness. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that idea. It sort of implies that Jay, as Agent Walker, sort of knows he's a ninja and has this ninja outfit, and like that's where this comes from. And he goes on like little solo missions by himself. I would not consider that canon at all, but it's a fun idea. I kind of like that. Ninja at heart. When he encounters mean monsters or vicious villains, he uses his lightning power to blast them away, just like the old days. And if an opponent is a bit too big for him, he can make a quick getaway with his turbo climbing hooks. Then there's a little game where you have to figure out which path has the least clocks, and of course the instructions to build the minifigure. Turning to the next page. In this game, Aaron's on a secret mission and you have to figure out which of these 4 paths does not cross any of the Wolfmask warriors. And then this one's a word search where one of these names is going to be missing, and whoever is missing is the one who caused the merge. I have not completed the word search, but I'm just going to assume it's Wu, because that's what they told us in the show. And it would be very weird to reveal something else in a magazine. Kobe is on here, though. Here you have to try to draw just 3 lines to separate all the different people fighting. That's kind of funny. And then this is like a message you have to decode to figure out what's wrong with Jordana. I'm going to skip to the end to see the answer because I don't feel like doing that. Someone is inside of my mind. Help me. She is lying. The heroes will lose. That's pretty cool. Turning to the next page, here is Elemental Knowledge. You have 10 descriptions and 10 Elemental Masters, you have to match them up here. And then this is cool, this is a create your own Elemental Master page. I would have loved that as a kid because of course I loved creating my own characters and stuff, so having like an official thing where I could like color it in, draw my own character, and give them an elemental power too. That's a really smart idea, though I don't love like the giant blur on the face. I get that, I guess it means you don't have to do like a normal minifigure head, but the rest of it's sort of structured like a coloring page, so I don't know, I feel like the drawings here may not be the easiest to do. May not be the easiest to match the style. A lot of these are typically just coloring pages, not drawing pages. I get it though, they want to leave a lot of freedom for creativity. Turning to the next page, now we are at the comic. So as always with the comic, I'm not going to read the entire thing to you guys, but feel free to pause the video and read it for yourself. And if I notice anything especially funny or interesting, I will stop and point it out to you. So this one seems to follow Aaron on a mission after the fight between Cole and Frack. I like that they're like specifically stating where this takes place now. That's very helpful for like putting my mind in that spot. Interesting, so the museum sees the crab tooth that we saw in season 1. We never really got any answers about like what that is though. And Aaron specifically is trying to find answers as to like how Wu caused the merge. What happened there? Turning the page. Oh, okay, Nia's turned evil. What's going on here? Nia's just like launching her powers and yelling at everybody. Interesting. What's gonna happen next? Okay, no, they are actually fighting Nia. Oh no, she hit Ryu too! Why would she do that? Also, I really love the layout, how this is like one giant panel across 2 pages. They do that every now and then, but not nearly as often as I'd like. But it makes the action feel very dynamic, like we're right up in it. Yeah, something's going on with Nia. I don't think this is actually her, because I don't know why she would be doing all this. But we are now at the break in the comics, so we will get back to that in just a moment. But first we have power balance. This is talking about how Nia has to learn to use lightning after stealing it from Jay, which would make sense. And there's like this mashup of their minifigures, you have to find all the J parts on Nia. She's got the Wolf Clan symbol, she's got one of his arms, a little buckle right here and a little buckle right there. Oh, and she's got some of his freckles too. Then we have the posters in the center of the magazine. Let me pull these out real quick. Oh, don't want to tear it. Here we have what's just actually one of the official Tournament of Sources posters. It just has Lloyd and Cinder on it, and it says ready to duel. That text wasn't on the original version, but this like graphic was made by the Ninjago team, not the magazine team. I do find it quite funny how in all these posters, none of them actually happened in the show. Like, this was not one of the fights in the tournament. Lloyd did not fight Cinder, but it does look very cool at the very least. Yeah, this is a quite good one. And then we got Clamor Kai in the nether space with like all these scary faces around him, and it says no one escapes the nether space. And poor guy's looking very worried right here. I'm not sure if I'd really want to have this one hanging up on my wall, but hey, I mean, I think it's laid out well. I'm pretty sure this is just like an official render of Kai from the show, and he's just like placed onto a background, but I think it all works well. It's a nice layout of colors and everything. Back to the magazine, there's some Elemental Master Sudoku at the top, which is kind of funny. And then there's like this pattern recognizing little like maze game where you have to follow this sequence to get to the end. I was like, oh, what do these letters spell out? It's literally just the first 4 letters of the Ninjago alphabet. It's A, B, C, D. That's the path you have to follow, is A, B, C, D. But then if we turn the page one more time, we are back to the comic. Okay, Nia's like really going crazy here. Aaron runs off to meet up with the other like unpowered Elemental Masters, and Sora and Lloyd are fighting back because they still have powers. Sora's using Kizzy's power here to like balance too, which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, look at this like tidal wave that Nia's causing. She's going crazy with it. I would love to see her use her powers like this in the show. That would be awesome. Okay, so these barrels blow up and the explosion like snaps Nia out of it, and she puts the fire out, and they're like, Nia, why did you do that? Also, Roby shows up, and it's literally just like a front-facing image of his minifigure. He looks so funny. Look at him. Why does he look like that? Roby fans, I need you guys to make yourself known in the comments, because I love Roby, but a lot of people don't like Roby. So if you guys like Roby, let me know in the comments, or if you don't, also let me know in the comments. But come on, Roby warriors, we gotta unite on this one. Anyway, let's turn the page one more time. Interesting, okay, so the reason Nia was acting like she was is because the tooth from the crab was actually placed under her bed, so she was being, like, remotely controlled by it, just like the crab. That's very, very curious to think about. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one, this comic is not canon. These comics pretty much most of the time are not canon unless explicitly said that they are. The writers from the show have no part in these comics. That being said, there is still some communication when these comics are made, and they are intended to fit with canon at the very least. It's just sometimes they mess up and it doesn't make sense. Me personally, I don't think I would call this one canon just because it's a really crazy event that occurred, and I feel like it would be a way bigger deal in the show if this had actually happened in this time period. But that being said, from what we know about the tooth, right, is that it controls someone remotely. That's what was happening to the crab. And obviously we know by the end of Season 2 Part 2 that Black is like the villain behind everything. He's causing all the problems at the tournament. So presumably he's the person who put the tooth here in the context of this comic. But then if that's the case, does that also imply that he was the one controlling the crab? I would be shocked if that was the case, but I guess it's possible. Unless the tooth could be like reprogrammed to be under someone else's control. But I assume whoever was controlling the crab was also controlling Nia here. So yeah, potentially maybe that's a little lore thread that might be picked up later on, because I assume we're going to learn more about the crab tooth in the future in the show, or maybe it's something they just completely abandoned in the show and the comic just decided to bring it back here. I'm not sure, let me know if you guys have any theories in the comments. I will say it's a very fun comic though. I like seeing everybody use their like Tournament of Sources powers, especially Nia. Like Nia was awesome in this one, so I think it was pretty good overall. And that's the end of the comic, but that's not the end of the magazine, because turning to the next page, this is an advertisement for Cole's Titan Dragon Mech. We get an ad for a different set in every single magazine, and I don't need to spend too long on this because, yeah, yeah, it's basically just advertising the set. They do give you some history on the mech and some history on Lily, who's of course the original person who piloted the mech. And there's some little games right here. Spot the differences, and what's this? You gotta close your eyes and slice through all the rocks? Okay. After that, we have Best Ninja Friends. And this is basically just the history of Aaron and Sora in the show. Nothing really new here. I like how they're encouraging you to build your own things. This tells you to build their apartment from the crossroads. And this one says to build a double-decker mech for the two ninja to go on your first mission together. But yeah, everything else is just what we've seen from them in the show. They don't really touch on like what happens at the end of Season 2, Part 2. I like the Frax in here too. So yeah, if you want to read any of this, feel free to pause, zoom in, do whatever you want. And then after that, we have Fiery Contest. This, once again, is pretty much just a recap of the show. It shows you the fight between Wildfire and Cinder. And this is a little dice-rolling board game, and it's a race between Zane and Mr. Pale, which is an odd combination. And depending on which tile you land on, different effects might happen, either only to Zane or only to Mr. Pale, as well as things that happen to both of them. This is a lot of fun. I always really like things like this. And finally, at the very end, we have an advertisement for the next magazine, which is going to come with a Master Lloyd minifigure. I'm in two minds about that. On the one hand, it's an amazing minifigure, and he doesn't come in a ton of sets, he only comes in 2. And I think his accessory is amazing with these, like, green lightning pieces. It's awesome to get those again. But the thing is, one of the sets that he comes in is $10, and it's an amazing set, so a lot of people probably already have this minifigure, myself included. I think I'm at, like, 10 or 11 of it already. So it's not the most exciting in that sense, but hey, it's a good minifigure at the very least. And then finally, at the very end, we have a ninja tier list. It seems like the writers of the magazine have become a little more like internet aware as of recent, because they had the whole meme generator a couple issues ago, and now we have a tier list maker. But yeah, we have all these different characters you can cut out right here and rearrange them from A tier to F tier. There is no S tier and there is an E tier, so not like 100% accurate to the tier list you'll see online, but it's pretty close. And yeah, it's all Dragon's Rising characters. And on the back, there's just alternate pictures of all the characters. And there we go. I think that's about all I have to show you for this issue of the Ninjago magazine. Overall, I think it's really good. I think this is a really great one. But I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end of the video. For now, let's take a look at the minifigure, or I guess technically minifigures that this magazine comes with, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts on everything at the end. Here are the two minifigures that this magazine came with all put together, and we're actually going to start with Vangelis just because I want to get him out of the way. But yeah, if you want to hear my full thoughts about him, go check out any of the 3 or 4 other magazine videos I've had that have also come with the same exact minifigure. But in short, I like the Crystalized general aesthetic as a whole. I think the torso and legs are really good, and the armor piece is a ton of fun. But for some reason, the magazine version of this minifigure does not come with the face print, which was the only exclusive part of the minifigure in the sets, so it just makes him a lot less interesting. Same thing with the accessory too, it's just the crystallized sword piece, which is quite common, and a lot of the time the magazines come with a lot better of accessories. And on top of that, he wasn't too hard to get in sets either. I mean, I guess now it's nice to get because the crystallized sets aren't on shelves anymore, and if you already have this guy, or like me, already have 3 or 4 of this guy, yeah, not super exciting to get again. Climber J, though, is awesome. We'll start by taking a look at his 2 accessories, which are these 2 climbing hooks, and I really love the build of these. I've said this from the beginning, one of my favorite parts of the magazines is the magazines often come with really unique accessories, like the kind of things you would never see in sets, because there's an official climber hook piece that we got in these sets, and they very easily could have just used those, but no, they made them brick built instead, and they did it in a very interesting way. The, like, hilt of the climbing hook is this piece that's often used for, like, the handle of torches, and it's occasionally used in dark bluish gray like this for, like, railings in a full-size build, but we don't see it on accessories in this color that often, so that does make these feel very unique. And then the actual hooks on the end are the mech finger pieces, and those create a surprisingly nice shape. I'm really happy with how these turned out. So starting off with a great accessory, but then the minifigure himself is really cool as well. I mean, all the climber suits are amazing, and Jay's no exception, and the coolest part about them is these armor pieces that they have. They're the first ever Ninjago armor pieces to be dual molded. You can see on Jay's in gold and dark blue, and they just end up looking so incredibly detailed. And that detail continues on the torso and the legs too. I love the little intricate texturing you can see on the side of the torso right here, and there's a little bit in the legs. It's just these tiny little diamond shapes, and I feel like that brings a lot more realism to the suit. But then of course this is a climber suit, so Jay's got all this climber gear. He's got this golden rope, this little clip that hangs down. Definitely feels like he's stocked up, all ready to go. He's like on a mission. He uses bright yellow as a secondary color here, which I'm not entirely sure how I feel about. I do like that color on Jay in general, but on this suit specifically, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's alright, it's like not the worst, but I feel like it's maybe a little bit too bright right next to the dark blue and the gold. Removing the hood and armor, there's a full look of Jay's face print, of course just the standard Dragon's Rising face print, and of course the alternate face is like the dragon power eyes. And you can see the climbing gear continues around the back. There's more of that like intricate little detailing, and Jay has a symbol right here too, the Ninjago letter J. And as I mentioned before, this is a great minifigure to get because he is relatively hard to find. He only comes in a $70 set, which is expensive for a character like this. So having him in a $5 to $10 magazine just makes the minifigure a lot more accessible to more people. So yeah, very happy with this one, great inclusion. And so, what are my thoughts on this magazine overall? Once again, I think this was a fantastic one. As I've been saying recently, they're on a streak of like really good magazines back to back to back, and this one is no exception. I think the games are creative and fun. The comic was pretty good, not necessarily canon, but it was just like cool to see the characters in action, and potentially some new lore developed there too. Posters were really well done, and of course the most important thing, the minifigure is amazing this time around, and you get a bonus minifigure. Just hopefully, if you got this magazine, the bonus minifigure for you might be a little bit better than the one I got. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about this one. I highly recommend it if it's still available where you are. But as for this video, I think that's about all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think of this magazine in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!